But first, let's get to the latest update. So, WrestleTix updated its Bound for Glory number of total tickets out. That number would be larger than the number in the building. Okay, so when I said I did not think that they had 7,800 people in that building and that was an entertainment number, this is why, right? And TNA is not the only company doing this. All the companies are doing this. Okay. WWE is notorious for it. AEW, who is the quote unquote honest company. As we know, they used kind of an entertainment number for All In a couple years in a row, and Brandon Thurston kind of called them out on it. So, I normally wouldn't even worry about stuff like this, but when they have Chris Bay coming out and they're announcing they broke the record for Slammiversary. They broke Slammiversary's record for their North American attendance record, and I have to call bullshit on it because that's not true. So WrestleTix updated its Bound for Glory number of total tickets out. That number would be larger than the number in the building because comps are counted in this number, even if they don't show up. Plus, unsold secondary market tickets are included. Okay, so scalpers buy tickets, and then people buy tickets, and all of a sudden they can't go. So what they'll do is they'll put them on StubHub, or they'll put them on the different secondary markets. And a lot of times those tickets go unclaimed, right? And so that's why if you saw a smattering of empty seats all throughout the building, it's because people get free tickets. They don't show up. People buy tickets that they can't sell. There's a lot of reasons for that. So plus unsold secondary market tickets are included. But the BFG number in Lowell, Massachusetts was 7,018, which would be the second largest North American crowd in company history, behind the 7,042 at the UBS Arena for Slammiversary. I'm always driving this point home. You don't have to lie about this stuff. I'm talking TNA, WWE, any promoter out there. There's literally no reason to lie about these numbers. The truth is impressive enough. So Bound for Glory had 7,018, which is coming from WrestleTix. And people will very likely get into my YouTube comments and say, well, that doesn't count walk up. Okay. If you think that there were 800 people day of the show that decided to walk up, God bless you. Okay. Or for Slammiversary, if you think that there were 600 people that walked up for that show, God bless you. I appreciate you. I love you. And I wish I could believe the things that you believe. Okay. But that is true. It's not counting like walk up tickets, right? The tickets that they sell at the building. At least I don't think that is. I mean, that this could include walk up because they're tracking every ticket that's being put available online. That could include walk up. So, but for argument's sake, okay, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but here's the only number that we got. This is the data that we can run off of. We can't use the data that TNA gives us, right? Now, if TNA wants to put out the receipts, right? If they want to provide receipts for this, which they won't, no company ever does. But if they would like to, I would come on here and provide that information and give an honest answer to it, right? If they wanted to provide the data behind it. Like, how did you guys get to that 7,800 number for Bound for Glory? How did you get to 76 or 77, whatever it was for Slammiversary? What kind of math did you use to get there? Like, who were you counting? I would love that information. They're not going to provide it, but I would love it. Until then, we're going to use WrestleTix. I think WrestleTix is fair across the board because all they do is count. So there's no agenda. There's no nothing. Now, Brandon Thurston or somebody like that might be able to get the ticket scanned information, and I think that would be interesting. I get the feeling ticket scanned is going to be in between 6 and 6,500, my guess. Just based off of like covering the stuff for as long as I have and reading the periodicals and just hearing the stories about how some of the stuff works. That would make sense to me. Again, very freaking impressive. And Terrence, this is a great point. That's awesome that TNA did 7,000 plus in consecutive pay-per-view attendance or tickets distributed, however you want to call it, for the first time in its 23-year company history. This year's Bound for Glory. Now, we're not likely to get the pay-per-view buys because Dave's just not able to get that information anymore, at least for TNA. I don't know how he's getting AEW. I have a theory that he just gets the info from AEW and posts that, because I just don't think that the cable companies and the streaming companies and the different ways you can get it, I just don't think you can get an accurate representation of what those numbers are. So this is the only data that we're going to be able to get to determine how successful an event was. And as far as tickets, as far as attendance or tickets sold or crowd size, however you guys want to call it, this is very likely, and I don't even think it's even close, the biggest Bound for Glory in history. And this is their annual, quote unquote, Super Bowl of the year. Like, this is their WrestleMania, supposedly. I think Slammiversary has always been bigger, but Slammiversary is typically a better show. And Slammiversary a lot of times is bigger. But I think this is huge. It's a big deal. Okay. So those are huge increases from the past and well ahead of numbers when the show was on Spike and when they had people like Hulk Hogan, Sting, Flair, Angle, Rob Van Dam, Hardy, etc. Basically, all the added viewership on Spike and the huge names meant less than the WWE approval. Okay, that's the key. WWE approval. Here's what he means, and here's what I've been telling everybody. So when a star leaves WWE and they go to TNA or they go to AEW, that audience doesn't follow them. Right. Some of them do, but for the most part, they're no longer on the big show. Nobody cares about them. In fact, when Christian was on TNA, I think he did TNA for like 3 years. He would be in the airport and people thought he had retired. Now, there was over 1 million people watching that show every week, but WWE fans didn't know because they only watched the WWE. Here's the difference between then and now and modern TNA and this relationship. WWE is telling their audience to watch TNA and to support TNA. That TNA is in the tent. TNA is approved. You can watch them. You can enjoy them. So not only are they watching them, are they coming to the shows, and are they enjoying them, they're adopting them as part of their culture war against AEW. It's happening, and AEW fans are fighting TNA. It's pretty wild because for the longest time, AEW fans were constantly comparing themselves to WWE or comparing AEW to WWE. And now the war has shifted, and now there is no comparison between WWE and AEW. So now AEW fans need a dragon to slay that is within reach. And so now they're coming after TNA. I noticed it in my mentions. And so they want that Tony Khan #2 wrestling promotion trophy. Right, they want that wrestling trophy that their boss gets, Tony Khan, and they want to be able to display that in their imaginary trophy case. And they see TNA as a threat, right? And so they're constantly mentioning that TNA. How can TNA possibly be #2 with some of the different things, cage match ratings, whatever the fuck that means, and all the different things. And they're insulted, they're threatened, and they're very upset by this. It's quite entertaining. I love it. So yeah, WWE has told their audience to watch TNA, and therefore TNA is now a much bigger product than it's ever been before. Okay, publicizing the product and using NXT talent. Also, wrestling is overall more popular than during that prior time period, even if more were watching on television because viewing has changed. The number did beat. Here's another thing. Okay, so this is something that I pointed out earlier this week. The number did beat AEW's Wrestledream 1 week later, and AEW was in St. Louis. In theory, a better city for drawing than Lowell, Massachusetts. Ain't that the freaking truth? Lowell is a suburb of Boston, but it wasn't Boston proper, right? TNA was in St. Louis. St. Louis is a historic wrestling city. TNA doesn't draw, or TNA was in Lowell. AEW was in St. Louis, and St. Louis is a wrestling town. Now, AEW has not been able to draw in St. Louis since they started running there. And in fact, I think NXT struggled there recently too, even with Randy Orton on the card. So there is something going on there. However, St. Louis is a much bigger wrestling town than Lowell, Massachusetts, and TNA had over 7,000 people at one point agreeing to be at the show. However you want to count the numbers. I think the only fair way to do it is because we'll never get the number unless someone does a ticket scan number. The only thing we can do is go with the 7,018 number that WrestleTix had. So that's the number of record at this point, right? TNA is going to say 7,800, but I think the number of record for, if we're being fair, is 7,018. And what I can do is I can go to my, I'm going to go to my Twitter real quick. Go to my Twitter real quick, and I'm going to pull up my tweet. Let's see, my tweet where I broke it all down for the month. Let me share a screen here. So here's the top 3 pay-per-view events by attendance, right? By attendance. Top 3 pay-per-view events in October by attendance. So number 1, WWE Crown Jewel. Now these are North American promotions. Obviously CMLL had some really big crowds. Number 1, Crown Jewel in Australia, claimed attendance 13,683. Number 2, coming in at number 2, and this is all per WrestleTix, of course, 7,018 with a claimed attendance of 7,794. And Wrestledream coming in at number 3 with 6,233 tickets. TNA beat Wrestledream by almost 1,000 tickets, right? Which is wild. Like, you know, what, give them like a little less than 800. That's kind of crazy, I think. And because of that, if you look at some of my mentions, people are threatened, right? This guy says, according to who? Wrestledream blew Bound for Glory away in quality. Well, no one was talking about quality. The one match that had a shot at matching it had an insanely bad booking, Slater versus Evans. I think we can all agree on that. I haven't seen Crown Jewel as a whole, but didn't watch the AJ Cena match. Didn't watch the AJ Cena match. Was awesome. Okay, so this person didn't watch the match but thought it was awesome. So here's another person. It says also NXT Halloween Havoc. That is this weekend. I don't think it's coming close to any of those 3. TNA has been outselling NXT for sure. CMLL has multiple pay-per-views this month that beat those 2. That is true. CMLL is on a heater. I was just talking about the US. So there you go. Oh, TNA Bound for Glory tickets distributor does not include walk-ups. I don't know how that is. Okay. Here's one. AEW is dying. That's not true. Dumb. Okay. Oh, let's see what Grok says. So this person says, hey, Grok, can you explain to this man how this is extremely misrepresenting and deliberate of him? And then Grok says, the post lists attendances using different metrics claimed, often including comps, turnstiles for WWE and TNA, but tickets distributed for AEW without a claimed figure. Okay, yeah, so Grok agrees with me. So you're a dipshit, sir. Try to come at me. But yeah, this is really good news for TNA. Really good news for TNA. Let's keep going. There's a little bit more news, and then we're going to get to Bound for Glory 2005, which was fantastic, by the way.